Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala ashrafil makhluqeen wa ali kullim wa sahabati ajma'in. Brothers, welcome to the 10th episode of Meaning of Qaseedathul Burdha. So far, we discussed 3 chapters in Qaseedathul Burdha, and today we are beginning the 4th chapter of Qaseedathul Burdha, dealing with the birth of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I am indeed in pleasure to say that this is doing in the month of Rabi'ul Awwal, in which Habib Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to this world. And in the 4th chapter, the poet is describing in very short words a lot of things happened, a lot of things which was witnessed by this world while Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to this dunya. Poet starts, Abana mawliduhu an tayyibi unsurihi ya tayyiba mubtada'in minhu wa mukhtatami. His birth, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's birth, distinctly, surely it showed his pure origin. The purity was shown by his birth itself. The beginning and the end, how much excellent it is, the poet exclaims. Habib Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born to the earth in the month of Rabi'ul Awwal. While he came to the earth, his birth and the occurrence during his birth denotes the purity of his origin. In a lot of ahadith, in a lot of seerah, Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's birth was described. It is described by the most pure birth in the world. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when came to the world, a lot of people was rejoicing. Even people who became enemies later, they were too rejoicing for the birth of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why? Because Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's birth is to be enjoyed. It is to be eulogized, is to be celebrated. That is why it is. And Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came from Adam alayhi salam to Abdullah radiyallahu anhu, father of the Holy Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through very pure chains. No one in this chain is out of the religion, out of the millatu Ibrahimiyya. No one in this chain is out of the code that La ilaha illallah prescribes. No one in this chain is never told in the history as a bad man. That is Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. يوم تفرس فيه الفرس أنهم قد أنذروا بحلول البؤس والنقم. Oh, that day, the day when Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, Persians discovered something misfortune is chasing us. Something misfortune which was warned, that was approaching us, because misfortune and punishment was warned earlier, and some symptoms of this misfortune is seeing now. The Persians discovered. There were the people who always devoted fire and such things. And Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to this world to eradicate all these superstitions and to establish the exact belief in God. La ilaha illallah. وبات إيوان كسرى وهو منصدع كشمل أصحاب كسرى غير ملتئم. And the palace of Kisra was tumbled and crumbled, like how the army of Kisra was scattered, never to be rejoined again, never to be united again. Such scattered the army of Kisra, and likewise the palace of Kisra was crumbled. وَالنَّهْرُ خَامِدَةُ الْأَنْفَاسِ مِنْ أَسَفِ عَلَيْهِ وَالنَّهْرُ صَاحِ الْعَيْنِ مِنْ صَدَمِ. The fire of Persia, which the Persians used to devote, took a cold breath. It means it subsided and died out. It extinguished. Out of regret, it extinguished. What is the regret? Someone who was born today came to eradicate this kind of superstitions. And while the rivers of Persia had sleepless eyes, and the rivers of Persia had sleepless eyes from excessive sorrow, it was also sorrowful. And wasa asawata an ghalat buhayratuha wa rudda wariduha bil ghayrihi nadhami. And the thirsty water bearer Sawa, it's a village in Persia, and there is a river that became grief stricken with the dying up of its lake. The Sawa, the villagers, are now in grief because the lake in the village is dried up. So what happened is that the thirsty water bearer, he returned with anger. He returned in anger with disappointment. Why? Because no water is there. What is happening? They couldn't understand anything. كأن بالنهر ما بالماء من بلل وبالماء ما بالنهر من ضرر. It is as though the fire become wet like water due to grief, while water was the blazing flame. It means their water is now dried up. That fire which they devoted, it has extinguished. And the purpose of both the things is now break it down for moments, because it is the moment of purity where Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to this world in Makkah al-Mukarramah. وَالْجِنُّ تَهْتِفُ وَالْأَنْوَارُ سَاطِعَةٌ وَالْحَقُّ يَظْهَرُ مِنْ مَعْنًى وَمِنْ كَلِمٍ. And the jinn was shouting for the appearance of Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the nur wal anwar, the nur sati'atun, it was glistening. And the truth, wal haqqu yadhharu min ma'nan wa min kalimi, and the truth, that is Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's nubuwwah, appeared with this anwar and with these voices. عموا وصموا فإعلان البشائر لم تسمع وبارقة الإنذار لم تشم. The people who were deep rooted in kufr, kafir, became blind and deaf to the announcement of this glad tidings, And nor did they hear the lightning, nor did they see or hear the lightning of warning. They never heard something thunders of that. They never seen the light of that. They were completely blind and deaf. They became completely blind and deaf. من بعد ما أخبر الأقوام قاهرهم بأن دينهم المعوج لم يقم. They were given warnings. They were given enough warnings after their fortune tellers had informed the people that their false religion would not stand. The time has arrived. The one who breaks this false beliefs, mischiefs, one who breaks these superstitions, one who breaks this every bad deeds has now arrived. So your religion, which is not true, will not be existing in the world. It will not be standing more anymore. Many fortune tellers, their scholars who know their text well, they informed the people. But after that also, they were blind and deaf to these warnings, to these things. Unfortunately, they had no any option. وَبَعْدَمَا أَعْيَنْ فِي الْأُفُقِ مِنْ شُهُبٍ مُنْقَلَّةً رِفْقَ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ مِنْ صَنَمٍ. And even after they witnessed shooting stars on the horizon falling just as their idols were falling on the earth. Shooting stars on the horizon is falling like their idols were falling on the earth. They witnessed. That means the poet is using a poetic device which he is making the comparison with a most possible one with a less possible one. So he is telling that the shooting stars were falling. Likewise, their idols were falling. And they witnessed these things. Even after that, they were not ready to believe in Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Hatta ghada an tariq al-wahyi munhazimun min ash-shayatin yaqfu ithra munhazimi. Hatta ghada an tariq al-wahyi. They kept running away from the path of the route of wahi. That means the holy revelation revealed to Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were running away from Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Munhazimi min ash-shayatin yaqfu ithra munhazimi. The devils, the shaitans, they one after another, they were running away from the path of wahi. Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born, and there is no any way for shaitan to enter that path. There is no way to shaitan for entering the path where Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. It is told that while Umar radiallahu anhu enters a path, shaitan will not be standing in that path. Then what about Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from whom Umar radiallahu anhu got the light, the nur? There, shaitan will not stand where Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is there. Bring him to your heart. There, shaitan will not be having any position. كأنهم حربا أبطال أبرهة أو عسكر بالحصى من راحتيه رم. They were running away, the shaitan. Likewise, they were the army of Abraha. The army of Abrahat, in the time of they were coming to destroy the Kaaba, the Ababil birds were sent to them for destroying those people, and they were returning back. Likewise, the shaitan is running away from them. Or like the army upon whom Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam threw pebbles after chanting. نبذا به بعد تسبيح ببطنهما نبذ المصبح من نحشاء ملتقم. The chanting, the poet describes, the poet compares that chanting of adhkar by Hazrat Yunus alayhi salam from the stomach of fish. He chanted adhkar. Likewise, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam's, in Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam's holy hands, that pebbles were chanting adhkars. After that, the pebbles were thrown against an army, and that army was going away from Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Likewise, the shaitan was running away from the path of wahy. They can't stand there. And by this, Imam Busuri radiallahu anhu is concluding the 4th chapter. A lot of things are related to this. Many people say that the day on which Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam took birth, this day is important. Then every day, Janal Jannataini vi fadli laylatain. It's a book written for only describing this kind of things, and in that kitab, the author describes 20 reasons for being this day, Rabi'ul Awwal 12th, more important than Laylatul Qadr. Such an important day it is. And Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I was telling that he came through a pure chain. And people are telling that his father and mother is not among this Muslim community, but it is their unfortune not to understand the reality. The reality is those Abdullah radiallahu anhu, Amina radiallahu anha were Muslims, and they became Muslims after their death. They were given rebirth and became Muslim, as told by a lot of scholars. Anyway, it's not fair to tell that Abdullah radiallahu anhu and Amina radiallahu anha is from another community. Never happens it. Imam Qurtubi radiallahu anhu tells in his tafsir this briefly. And here we end this episode. Thank you for watching. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.